Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Minnoxide podcast, coming to you from SEMA, my first ever SEMA. I'm super excited to be here. I have a ton of podcasts lined up, but I really am looking forward to this week. It's been a super exciting week, but nonetheless, let's just jump right into it. The Minnoxide podcast is a podcast where we go beyond the meat. The problem with a lot of car meets is you talk to people for 5-10 minutes, and then it's over. You just kind of chat here and there on Messenger. You don't really get to know the person. It's usually the same repetitive thing day in, day out. And that's why I love talking to the guests that we bring on this show. Today we have Nick Caloroso. Hopefully I nailed it.
Pretty good.
Perfect. So I don't think I'll do you any justice on any titles or anything like that.
Fine.
So I'll let you kind of just introduce yourself, who you are, how you got into the automotive world, and we'll just kind of go from there.
Sweet. Well, hey, thanks for having me on, and I'll preface by saying, Dave, this is the last day of the show for me, and my voice is just destroyed. A lot of conversations out there in the Hoonigan booth this week. Myself, I am a 10-year veteran of the automotive aftermarket industry. My path to the industry is kind of fun. I met the owner, Paul McCain of Dynamics, at a career fair in college at Truman State University. It was a kind of a startup lighting company, and I was one of the initial employees. Grew the business. They're doing extremely well now. They have like an 80,000 square foot facility in St. Louis, Missouri. And then I was recruited down to Atlanta by Morimoto Lighting. And so Morimoto Lighting, lighting assemblies, things of that nature. And, we were required by Wheel Pros, now Hoonigan, in September of 2021. So I like to joke, I've been selling light bulbs for about 10 years. I'm a light bulb guy.
So how did the jump from Diode to Morimoto happen?
So Chris Nelson, the CMO or founder of GTR Lighting and Headlight Revolution, one of our good customers, they merged with Morimoto Lighting in 2018, and they needed some assistance building their business-to-business program, which is really what I specialize in. And so I came in and established all the things you need to have a good B2B, a world-class B2B program. Like a map policy, pricing, terms and conditions, data infrastructure, like a lot of stuff like that.
So what was your major in college?
Business administration. I had a concentration on pre-law. But then I just decided to follow my passion anyway. So that's,
Passion being like the cars in general?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
I knew I'd be an automotive in one way or another. Like many in this industry, have been passionate about cars my whole life.
So where did that kind of start? Did you have like somebody in the family that got you into cars when you were younger, or?
Well, my dad was, a huge muscle car fan growing up.
Okay.
He always told us stories about being picked up when he was a kid in his cousin's 1970 Chevelle.
Nice.
And from high school when he'd do rip burnouts and leaving school, and he always felt so cool. And we'd go to car shows a lot as kids and the Hot Wheels, all that jazz. And obviously Fast and Furious, the Need for Speed Under games, basically similar track to a lot of kids in the 90s.
Right.
We love the Need for Speed video games, Fast and Furious, and Gran Turismo, and I've been into it ever since.
For me, I always tell this story. For me, I got into it because obviously Hot Wheels and stuff as a kid.
Yeah.
But Gran Turismo, I remember. So I grew up Mopar. Mopar is really what I grew up in. Okay. So driving the Comp Coupe Viper on Gran Turismo.
Yes.
That's a core memory.
The white with blue stripes or red with silver?
Red with silver.
Ooh,
yeah. Yep. And there was a guy in Minnesota that actually had a blue Comp Viper for a while. He got rid of it disappointingly, but it was a super cool car.
Yeah, my colleague actually had Matt Kossoff, founder of Morimoto. He's had several Vipers, and he just had bought one when I started, and he owned it for a few weeks. It was I think it had 6,000 miles on it.
Wow.
But he's like, I love the idea of the car. I love what it represents. It's a big V10, naturally aspirated. It's a gated manual, but yeah, it's got a minivan interior. It's not.
Oh, really?
It's not a great car. I think it was a second gen or third, whichever one's got probably second gen. And it was
So what do you have any particular brands you've leaned towards when you were younger? What'd you grow up with? Because for me it was Mopar, for example.
Yeah, I haven't been particularly brand loyal in terms of the manufacturers. I guess you could say BMW because my brother and I have always loved E36 M3s, and I have an F82 M4. My dad's got an E92 M3 comp. My brother's got a 335i manual. So we've had some BMWs.
Okay.
But that's not to say that I don't like the Italian automobiles. And I have a Tacoma pickup. It's a long story, but Not really particularly brand loyal with cars. I just love all cars, really.
Yeah, I was scrolling through your Instagram and I found that the Tacoma. Is there any like crazy story behind that?
There is. It's an unfortunate one, but it's also a very sentimental one. So last March, my father-in-law passed away, and it was my wife's grandpa's great grandpa's. He bought it brand new at age 92 back in 2004. And like he had got Alzheimer's, unfortunately, and so my father-in-law bought it from him because you can't have driving. My wife and her 3 brothers learned to drive in that car.
Oh wow!
Up in New Hampshire and in Maine, and when he passed, they were like, "What are we going to do with this truck?" And it's kind of rusty. I mean, let's be real, it's Maine, but I'm like, we have to keep this thing, and I've been slowly restoring it and fixing it and filming videos on my YouTube channel and just kind of fumbling my way through it with some upgrades here and there.
Do you create content like regularly or just kind of like fun on the side, or?
I try to stay pretty regular. I'll post a car video or 2 every day and pictures. I've been teaching myself how to edit using Adobe software this year, and I probably should have started 10 years ago. Yeah. But it's never too late to get started, right?
No, not at all. And I've had a number of people come on the show just talking about like social media presence and all that stuff, because like I was kind of doing this stuff before it was cool. Yeah. just a nice position to be in. Like I started using Premiere a decade ago now, almost, which is crazy. So this is like the only thing I truly tell myself I know about. So that's why I love talking to people and getting them on the show. But so then what's your current collection consist of? You got the Tacoma. Do you have anything else that's fun at the moment?
So I have I have a 2015 M4. It's got the carbon ceramic brakes, which I really that's pretty much the main reason I bought it, honestly. And then I have the 2004 Tacoma that it's a regular cab that I literally drive every day. I love that truck. Yeah. Everybody at the office knows about it, and a lot of people in the industry are aware of it. Like, it's the sentimental value, right? Like, you can buy it, the latest, greatest, whatever, but you'll never replicate the history of a car. Right. And so then I also have a 2016 Ducati Monster. Okay. Which is available for sale now, So
you are fairly big into bikes as well?
I love Ducati. Okay. I'm Italian, Caloroso, and I'm extremely passionate about almost all things Italian. And Ducati to me is just one of those brands you feel the soul of the brand, like the bikes and the way they look, the way they sound, they have character. Like, the older ones, you're like, am I going to make it home because it's going to rattle itself apart? But yeah, I absolutely love Ducati.
So I'm just curious because you're a little bit on the BMW side of things. Do you ever consider the BMW bikes at any point, or not really?
I have. I know they're great. Everybody, the S1000 RR is amazing, et cetera, et cetera. But it's one of those things. It's like the price point is somewhat comparable, and like I'm biased. Right. Like it's I can't be sold on it. It's just a passionate. Not a logical decision.
The Ducati brand is such a strong brand. I mean, it's just. What's it comparable to car-wise? Ferrari, maybe?
I would say I don't know, man. It's like I would say Ferrari. I mean, the red, the famous Ducati red is like trademark. It's a beautiful color. So I'd say probably Ferrari.
So the M4, is it stock?
No, it's got a couple upgrades on it.
So stage 2 probably, or
I'm the typical BMW guy. It's got downpipes and tune. VRS have downpipes. MHD tune. The guys at AA Performance in Atlanta helped me out with a lot of that, and it's on BBS LMR wheels. Nice. And sorry, I work for Wheel Pros and Hoonigan, but they respect. Craig, the guys at BBS are awesome, and then KW height adjustable suspension. So
so what's it at power wise then?
Whatever, downpipes and a tune, probably 450, 475, whatever. But it's fast, it's fun.
It's such a blast. I drove a 2016 that was stage 2, so 560 wheel or whatever, a number of years ago. It's actually on my YouTube channel, like way early on, and I money shifted it once or twice, or it was rough, but it was such a fun car. I mean, that's when because I was against BMW actually as like a teenager or whatever, and then I drove that car, and as a photographer in the community, I've got to be around so many cool cars. Right. Every freaking Uber driver out here is asking me, so what's your favorite brand? I can't pick.
It's hard, man. There's a lot of cool cars, like a lot of oddball cars. Like it's hard to just stick to just one. But speaking of the M4, I will say, my dad has an E92 M3 comp car. Just the V8 is just perfection. So awesome. My M4 is by all accounts a perfect daily driver. It's an amazing car. It's faster. It's better in almost every way except driving enthusiasm. The V8, you can't beat that V8. It sounds awesome, and it's just so fun to drive.
So where are you based out of then?
I'm in Atlanta,
Okay.
Georgia. I actually live near the Braves' new stadium.
Okay.
So I moved down. My story of when I left my friends at Diode to go down to Atlanta is crazy. I literally left right when COVID hit, like when the country shut down, and we're like, whoa, what's gonna happen? Like, do we like touch gas pumps because we're afraid we're gonna get COVID, like that? So I bought my house like right when COVID hit, and I've really enjoyed Atlanta, but I timed things fairly well.
So then do you make it out to like Caffeine and Octane and stuff out there?
Oh, yeah. Bruce and his team doing a wonderful job.
Okay.
It's the largest reoccurring car show in the United States, and it's the first Sunday of every month. So I actually, there's one this Sunday I might try to make it back for. So
I've always wanted to make it to one of those. So we actually have the Automotorplex up in Minnesota. Have you ever heard of it before?
Chris Nelson may have mentioned it in passing.
Yeah. Yep. So they have two of them, but in the second location. So I'm not sure if they license or what the agreement is, but we have our own Caffeine and Octane up there.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. So
nice.
they did a deal or whatever the conversation was 2 or 3 years ago. Super cool. I mean, so that's my favorite show up there, but the Atlanta scene, it just looks crazy down there.
It is pretty hard to comprehend. I mean, I've been a car enthusiast my entire life, but it is a sea of cars, like anything, like SEMA. I mean, you see just everything, right? You see like exotics, you see classics, you see clapped out hoopties, but it's definitely a must see, and it brings out a lot of really cool people. So it's come on down. I'll show you around. I'll introduce you to Bruce, a great guy, the CEO of Caffeine and Octane.
Yeah, it was super cool to meet you yesterday. So Dan's been introducing me to a ton of people. So
networking is key.
Yeah, this is my first year at SEMA. I've always wanted to go, and I've had opportunities in the past, but being in college and stupid midterms and all that stuff, just never worked out. But I did want to ask you. So the Future Leaders Network. So So what's your association with that, and I guess kind of what is it?
Yeah, so I'll walk you through it. So one of the things I really love about SEMA is they have councils and networks with volunteer leadership opportunities and to create programs that add value for members. So this is 10,000 foot, but SEMA exists to create value for members. So if you're a member business, SEMA exists to create value for you. The whole show in the early 70s existed because people needed a place to show off all their products to B2B customers. So the councils and networks like FLN, we represent a segment or a group, and we create programs to help our members succeed. And so the Future Leaders Network, which I've been a part of before, was the Young Executive Network, which we changed the name because young kind of constitutes maybe inexperienced.
Yeah.
Executive was like a very small portion of our members. So we changed it to Future Leaders Network because one, the younger generation is looked at as the future. And two, we are going to be leaders someday. And so the focus for the Future Leader Network is professional development and creating networking opportunities. So the flagship program there is the professional development program. We take 25 applicants, get selected, and they go to either Diamond Bar, California, for the SEMA headquarters, or the SEMA garage in Detroit, and do a 2-day leadership development course backed by Dale Carnegie.
Oh, okay.
And it's awesome. It's awesome. It's at 100% fill rate, and we've gotten really, really good results from that.
So who are these applicants typically?
People in the industry under the age of 40, who are looking to further their careers, develop some professional skill, and really the networking aspect of it is kind of like a hidden. It's not hidden, but you're with these people for 2 days. Like you're after the event, you're at the hotel, you're hanging out, you're meeting people. You're forming a community, and you're talking every day. These people have created their own Facebook chats, and they talk every day now. There's been 2 courses, so we're really, really proud of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's community development, and that's one thing I've noticed here is even though this show is huge and hundreds of thousands of people or whatever, it seems like a really tight community. Like everywhere I was introduced to somebody else came up and it's like, oh, I haven't seen you in years or whatever.
Yes, exactly. That's what SEMA's all about. And I mean, I didn't make it to where I'm at because of my elite light bulb knowledge, or my elite light bulb selling skills. It's been through networking and through meeting people in the industry that have been willing to give me their time and build relationships. I try to add value for them in those relationships. I try to connect them with other people who can add value. I like to say that I have someone for everything.
Yeah.
So like if you needed, if you needed wheels, obviously part of Wheel Pros. So there's folks at our organization we can help you with. But that's really been the secret to my success in my career has been networking.
Yeah, being the guy that knows a guy.
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of what I am in Minnesota as well. It's like I'm able to just, if I don't know the answer, I probably know somebody that does.
Yes.
Which is super sweet.
Yeah, and I've been very fortunate. I've had really good mentors. Our former CEO at Driven Lighting Group, Brian Reese, he is now the CEO of T-Sportline. They do EV. Was very gracious and giving me the time of day to really help me develop skills and learn, and take risks and learn from mistakes and things. And, it's really, really important in this industry to have someone that really believes in you and gives you an opportunity to grow.
Yeah.
So, thanks, Brian. Shout out. Brian's also a SEMA board member now. So he's been very hands-on and helping kind of drive the future in the direction of SEMA. So grateful for that.
So then what's your involvement with the overall, do you have any involvement with the actual show's success or anything like that?
So the show itself is run by show staff, which I like to say it's fairly separate from the volunteer and the association side.
Yeah.
The show is, I'm just going to say it, it exists to generate revenue for our legislation, regulation endeavors to protect our industry. A lot of people don't understand that when they see things like SEMA Fest, like the funds from that will be used to protect our industry, to make sure that businesses don't get regulated out of existence for no reason. But they're separate. And the show staff works really hard to put on the largest B2B trade show in the automotive industry. I mean, there's going to be 160,000 people here this week.
Crazy, because so when I showed up here on the first day, I was with Jason, who you also met yesterday, and I was kind of just following him around because he's been here I think 3 or 4 times.
Nice.
And then I was like, all right, well, I'm standing right behind him, I'm getting in the way, I need to go venture on my own.
Yes.
So I stepped away, I'm not even kidding, 15 feet, and I look around, I'm like, what the hell do I do now? Because it's so big. Just ridiculous.
It is a lot. And, I've had years where I haven't been in a booth and I've had the opportunity to walk around and just see like the level of, all the diverse car builds and everything, like different, crazy ideas. I like to see different things. I like to see the new trends and keep myself up to date. So like you walk around the show, you see literally everything. Like I just saw Pagani Huayra in the, I think in the Ceramic Pro booth, like there's literally like everything from exotics to classics to like wild, like rod builds to like things that are just like dumb, I'm talking about Bluetooth drive shaft builds, I'm talking about, but it's really immersing yourself in the culture, and it's a lot of fun. And it's all for really parts. Our whole industry really exists because people want it to. People want the stuff that we make. Nobody really needs, a lot of the stuff in there, but they want it. And that's a passion-driven business. It's awesome.
That's the one thing I was thinking about, too, the other day. It's like this truly is an industry where there's so many enthusiasts. Like, as we talked with Dan, like, the purpose of Carmunity, right? It's to get a hold of all those, even 10 million or 50 million enthusiasts, which is just, when you think about it, that's a lot of people. Like, I was thinking, like, as I was walking through the hallway here, I'm like, I couldn't even fathom if all these people like listen to my podcast, for example. Which, like, for example, like
I hope they do.
Yeah. But like, for example, like Tavares, right? Who, he has his P1 is freaking sweet.
I've been watching it. It's remarkable, honestly. It's so cool to see someone take that big of a risk and have a plan and be working with all these partners, like the stuff behind the scenes. Like, it's really impressive. Shout out. Yeah,
that is a total financial suicide when you look at that project, which is just crazy. So for him to take that on is just incredible.
Yep. And, it's in our industry, there's a lot of pioneers who have been very successful taking risks. People who have, now I'm not saying mortgage their homes, but probably mortgage their homes to help fund their hobby. And there's a lot of great stories. There's a lot of folks who have been in this industry for a lot longer than me that have a lot of wild stories. You know, and one of the fun things about volunteering with SEMA, and the thing I encourage young people to get involved with, is you get to meet these people and hear their story. And it's very motivating, very inspiring. Like some of the Peterson Auto Museum. Their publishing company, like the impact they've had on the industry. Like it's when you meet those people, it's awesome to hear their stories.
So over at so what are you doing at the booth? Which booth are you at?
So I am at the Hoonigan section at Silver Lot 3. I don't section space, like it's a whole thing, right? It's a compound. I don't know. Yeah. But it is awesome. We have an activation with all the brands. So Hoonigan, has 53 brands, right?
Wow.
Wheels, there's suspension, ready lift. I mean, there's tires, there's Morimoto lighting, and I'm in the Morimoto lighting section of our booth. So
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's a successful kind of week look like to you?
Successful week for us is meeting with our top customers, going over, hey, how are things going? Like, how are things going this year? Here's some new opportunities. Let's look at your numbers this year and see where we can help you improve. Or if you're already having success, this is what's working. Let's do more of it. And I think the big reason a lot of people come is the new products, right? So you see things that we've been working on for over a year for the first time. Like one of the exciting ones is on the Huna Pegasus.
Yeah.
We put our new headlights, the Morimoto XP headlights for the 964 on it, subtle flex. And it is just so cool to see a project that took a year of development on such a like amazing storied historical artifact for our industry. So.
So drop a little bit of because you say you have a lot of light bulb knowledge. So what are some kind of things that you can kind of share? What was that like learning process over the years, I suppose?
I will tell you, lighting has changed dramatically since I started back at Diodynamics in the day. When I started, people were selling like the original like capsule style LED bulbs that would produce like literally like 20 lumens, like less than an incandescent bulb. It was a downgrade, like a potential safety downgrade. Not Diodynamics, we sold good stuff, but the technology as LED chipsets have shrunk. Microcontrollers have allowed us to like do like sequential patterns in the headlights. Like there's been so many developments, and the optical modeling software, which frankly is like wizardry to me. Yoshi, our lead, our product designer, it's just remarkable. Has taught himself all of these things, and developing those optics using this technology. And I'm sure AI at some point will come in and help develop optical technology at some point.
So then what do you have so I guess kind of since you're in the sales position, I guess, is that correct?
I in B2B. So business to business, meeting with, some of our largest customers to help them sell our product to their customers. Yeah.
So you primarily work with like large or I guess distributors, I suppose?
I work with a lot of distributors, Meyer Distributing, Keystone, Premier Performance, and I also work with a lot of national retailers. Okay. Think like in historical ones like Summit. I love Summit Racing. Those are awesome. Real Truck. A lot of big companies, big brands, and big reach, big audience.
I went to the Summit warehouse. Well, I can't remember what state it was in. I was on my way back from Texas.
Ohio.
Too, okay.
Oh well, there's one in Ohio, Talmadge. That's the HQ. There's one in Texas, which I've been to. It's remarkable.
I think that's the one I've been to. Yeah.
And there's one in McDonough, Georgia, which is also pretty awesome.
Super cool. Like the ability to go in there, because again, like I'm a small Minnesota boy, right? So when I go out of state, like I have in these last 5-6 years, it's like I went over there. It's this massive warehouse. I could buy any part right here, right now, if I wanted to. Yeah. And then you can, I think they have like seats and stuff you could sit in. You have wheels you could look at in person. Just
there's a cool story behind Summit Racing for us. So Matt Kossoff, the founder of Morimoto, is actually from Ohio, and shout out Matt. And as a kid, I mean, he had a Dodge Stratus, right? That was his first car. And he would go to the Summit store in Talmadge and buy stuff and put it on his car. And for us to be working with them and actually have Morimoto signage on the stores, like that, it was a cool program we were able to be a part of. Like the sentimental aspect of that and the history of Matt coming up as a young enthusiast and so forth. Like it's pretty awesome to see that come full circle. So those are the kind of things that like I make this industry special. Also, on the topic of Matt, the Dodge Stratus RT. So Matt started the retrofit source right back in I think 2005, 2006, and in high school. And so Matt had a Dodge Stratus. It was his first car, and the headlights sucked. Obviously, because most cars from the early 2000s headlights sucked. Right. So he went to a junkyard. He picked up a set of Acura projectors, and he literally retrofitted them into his Dodge Stratus headlights. Posted them on the Dodge Stratus forums. I assume there's a forum for everything, and people were like, "Wow, this is amazing! Like, can you do mine?" And so that's where the retrofit source was born from. And so originally it was taking OEM projectors, putting them in headlights, and then it morphed from let's make our own projectors under Morimoto, with the latest technology, and then it morphed into let's, instead of retrofitting headlights, let's just make headlights that have the best technology ready to go. You plug it in, it's plug and play. You put it on the vehicle and boom. So.
Okay, so I guess where's Morimoto in industry-wise? Because it's one of the biggest names, I imagine, right?
In the assembly space, I'd say we're probably the top name in the assembly space. From full headlights, full taillights, we're doing off-road with the Morimoto 4-banger lineup now. We definitely have a foothold on the assembly space, and it's because we make literally the coolest looking headlights. Yoshi designs them. He's literally an artist, like calligraphy. He's a drummer for the Beach Boys. Like, the guy is amazing. He's doing the design work of that stuff in matte and incorporating the optical technology. So those things, we don't build to a cost, we build to a quality.
Right.
And so, like, we're not going to be the El Cheapo off the shelf. Like, we're going to be the flex, right? The best.
And it always is a flex. So I started talking to like lighting guys within our local community a number of years ago, and like they were always talking high of Morimoto. I'm like, all right, that sounds like a big name. Because again, when I was fairly new to the car community, it's like, these names mean nothing to me, and then you start understanding what these things mean. It's like, okay, wow. But headlights make or break a car.
They do. They really do. My favorite example of that. So they really do. Classics, right? So we work with Holley on the Holley Retro Bright line. And we basically designed and engineered a sealed beam housing that looks completely original. All the classic cars with sealed beam housings, 7-inch round and so forth, uses a unique LED capsule and literally looks completely original, produces modern output. But if you put a new modern looking headlight on an otherwise classic, it sticks out like a sore thumb. So that's what the Holley Retro Bright does, is it looks classic and it gives you the output, and it's just awesome. And that's a product that we're proud of because it's something we would want. We made it because we want it. Because if I had a 70 Chevelle, I wouldn't put dumb modern-looking spaceman projector headlights on it, unless it's a Pro Touring build or something. So.
Yeah, that's super cool because like it's tastefully done. It makes it's something that somebody that's an enthusiast actually designed.
We really strive for an OEM plus look. So we try to make things that, like, okay, let's say you didn't get the like premium trim level, right? If you did, this is what it would look like. It would be, it has OEM elements in it. We incorporate some design language from the OE side to just make it blend so it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. Yeah.
So just because it's lingering in the back of my head. So I know you mentioned you wanted those carbon ceramics on the BMW. So do you do any like track stuff then? I've
done some like driving experiences and things, but I haven't really had much of an opportunity. I've worked with a lot of racers and with FD a lot, but I haven't had the opportunities myself. I've been always been focused on networking and selling lighting and building my career. So.
It was super cool. So actually, I'm gonna have him on later today. So Rob, I think it was Hoover or whatever. So he got me into the RTR Mustang the other day.
Yeah. The guys at RTR are awesome, man. You're gonna have a blast with that. Those guys are fun.
Yeah, that was super cool. For me, it's like I've been around fast linear cars. Like we're talking 2,000 horsepower Vipers.
I've done drag strip stuff. Like drag strip's fun. Yeah,
super crazy. And I've only had one drift experience at that one racetrack here. Actually, like 5 years ago,
nice.
Somebody in a C7 Corvette, like a Formula Drift,
nice.
X whatever. But that was a different experience, dude. Like being in that RTR Mustang, and then I was we were doing tandem with that 1,000 horsepower Bronco or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's cool. The fun ever.
Dude, it's such a different experience. Have you done a ride along with those guys?
I have. Yeah, it's fun, and what's really fun is when like you have colleagues that have never done it. Yeah. And you're like, hey, let's put you in a race car for the first time. Yeah. And like, it just is, you can't explain it. The feeling, it's like, oh my gosh, we're out of control. And then it's like, now they know what they're doing. But that feeling and like the rush of being in a 1,000 horsepower car, like I've done ride-alongs with Justin Pollock, and like just the feeling, the rush, like it's so angry. Those modular V8s are so angry. I love it.
Yeah, so that was one of the things, like, day one when I was spectating to drift cars, I'm like, oh my God, he lost it. Oh wait, never mind, no, he didn't. Yeah. Like, it's so deceiving to watch. And even inside the car, there's something different when you're moving laterally.
Yeah. And it's funny, like some of it just can't be explained, right? So like, I've been at the Hoonigan Burn Yard all week. Our booth is right near, and we're in the same booth as the Hoonigan Burn Yard. And when you look at car enthusiasts and like you see everybody like sitting in the bleachers, just captivated by burnouts, and like the Australian burnouts, by the way. Whoa. But you can't explain that. Like, you can't put that on a spreadsheet and be like, enthusiasm, like line one.
Yeah.
Like, net profit, enthusiasm, but it's an emotion that we've captured, and it's fun to see, and the show does such a good job of exhibiting that passion and that fun and enthusiasm.
I think that's one of the things that I think a lot of people are looking forward to with SEMA Fest this year too, because this is the first time it's kind of open to the public.
Yes, and I'll be honest in saying I'm very excited about it. There's been I'd say there's been a little bit of confusion about what it is.
Yeah.
It is an event for enthusiasts, right? It's an event for enthusiasts to create that atmosphere, to replicate what we have in the Hoonigan Burnyard. Hoonigan's a very big part of it, to just celebrate automotive culture, and frankly, to generate revenue for legislation and regulation, and generating or delivering value for member businesses. So, like, a lot of people don't realize this show exists. This show exists for the businesses that participate. The funds that are generated from the events are used to help the businesses that participate in SEMA. Like, they're not going out making frivolous purchases or doing, flying private jets. Like, the event is to help the industry. So when you hear SEMA Fest, support it, be passionate about it. It's ours. It's exciting. And, tell your friends, and hopefully each year it'll grow and grow and grow, and we'll be able to do more stuff, and we'll be able to protect our industry better. With having more consumer awareness for our hobby. We want to bring more people in so that it can be here for years to come.
There's no place like Las Vegas, man. It's
you
crazy.
You can tell from my voice. And this isn't from going out no, this is talking to a lot of people. And this is tradition for me. Yep. No matter what I do, tea, everything, I lose my voice. It's kind of a thing. But there's so many activations around Vegas this year. You also have Formula One coming in. I mean, Vegas might find itself becoming the next automotive, week destination. I mean, I personally, I love Monterey Car Week. It's a week-long event in California. It's probably one of the best automotive events I've ever been to. And they're building that here, and it's awesome to see.
It's always been a dream of mine to go to Monterey Car Week. I almost went the last couple of years, but it's a bucket list item.
I've been to a lot of car events. I've been doing this for a decade. I've been all over the country. I've been all over the world for automotive stuff. And I can say that from a pure enthusiast standpoint, I'm not going there to, to sell automotive lighting. I mean, I have, but from a pure enjoyment of cars standpoint, it's unmatched. You can see literally everything. And it's presented in such a elegant way. The events are so elegant and just so high end, and it's so fun. And I look forward to it every year, and this past year I actually did the Quail. Have you ever been to the Quail? Well,
no. Yeah, never been.
When you get a chance
to
go to the Quail, if you can get a ticket, I was fortunate. Thank you, Brian. Thank you for that opportunity. You literally see all the supercar and hypercar manufacturers on display, and you get to talk to Christian von Koenigsegg and say, explain to me the cup holder on the new Gamera. We spent months developing these cup holders so that the temperature of your coffee would stay just right, or if you want it cold, it would stay just right. To really hear their passion at that level is this, but with supercars. So it's so cool.
I remember seeing an article about that the cup holder thing.
Yeah.
It was the funniest thing ever because I can't remember how much they spent. I think it was hundreds of thousands or something like that.
Yeah,
it was a ridiculous amount, but they're thinking about the end user. How can we make their life better? It's when you see I want to say it's old Rolls or Mercedes or whatever, they come with fridges inside the car.
Awesome. Yeah.
Such
different. Cool. My dad, he has a V8 Defender, one of the new ones.
Oh, sick. Okay.
And it has I haven't even seen it yet in person. I'm excited about that, but it's got the cooler in the middle. And I'm like, do you use it? He's yeah. I mean, it gets cold. He puts a bottle of water in there. That's such a cool feature. But the thing that I love about this industry, and SEMA in particular, is nobody needs that, but the businesses that are developing those things are solving problems, maybe not problems that exist, but they're doing things in a very innovative way. And it's just it's so unique to see people's engineering mindset and prowess and innovation, and that's all on display in SEMA, and that's really what SEMA is about. And my favorite example I've been using all week for Matt, in the Morimoto booth. So we typically do mass market vehicles, right? We do your big Ford trucks and everything because there's a lot of them on the road, right? But every now and then, Matt gets a little itch that he has to scratch, and that's the Porsche stuff that we've released. So Matt has a 993 turbo. It's his dream car. He loves that car, literally ground up. And he's like, man, I need better lights for it. And so he's like, well, I have a lighting company. I'll develop lights for it. And it didn't really make sense at first. I honestly was really mad. I'm gonna be honest. I have apologized profusely to Matt because I'm Matt. Like, come on, man. We need like Bronco taillights, which we'll have at some point. But like, what are you doing? And then to see it and to see how passionate he is about it, and then to see people's reaction when they realize like he made this because he wanted to. Like he made this because he's an enthusiast, and he made it because he wanted to. There was no corporate politics that got in the way. Like none of that. Like, you know, we were permitted to do what we wanted to do, and he made lights that he wanted to make. And the reaction this week has been awesome. I've met a lot of really awesome retailers because of it. I've made a lot of good friends over at Redline. I visited FCP Euro. We work with ECS Tuning. So they'll be available at a lot of those places. And frankly, I do think they'll be very successful because it's a product that he designed because he wanted it for his car. And other people are going to want them because they know a Porsche guy did it. And you can tell. The quality is unbeatable.
That's one of the things that I like we said earlier in the episode, there's just a reason a lot of people have success in this industry. It's when they are truly passionate about something. I mean, it just, when you try to force it, it just doesn't work.
You can't fake passion. You can't fake the tribal knowledge necessary to be successful in this industry. You know, and there are a lot of there's a lot of private equity coming in our industry. Of course, it can be a very good thing because it gives you capital to make things like those Porsche headlights. But if you have a good partner, like we did with Key and Capital in our prior situation, and they were like, "You guys know what you're doing. We trust you. You know, if you need resources to make those products and expand your offerings, we trust you." You know, and that was awesome. And granted, you have to build a business case, of course,
right?
And professional, but and the Ferrari taillights, that was a fun one. But you can't fake that. You really can't.
There's something to be said, like when companies get bought up or whatever. Like, you know, I used to work for a freight broker, however many years ago, and when they came in, and or somebody that was bigger came in, it just started messing with the secret sauce.
Yeah, that's really the key. Is you find a good partner that won't mess with the secret sauce, but will give you more resources to do more stuff. And so, there's been a lot of talk about Hoonigan, of course. We rebranded our name to Hoonigan from Wheel Pros. And, our partner, they have given us a lot of resources to do the enthusiast things you see out there. I mean, that costs real money. Like Formula One teams, you think that's cheap? You could be the biggest enthusiast in the world, but you're going to have some corporate backing to make that happen. And, the good private equity partners out there that understand, like, these people are experts. They know what they're doing. And we trust them, and they let them continue taking it to that next step are the ones that are really, really successful.
Yeah, having that symbiotic relationship is so key.
Yeah.
I mean,
it can, there are downsides. Obviously. Of course, you can lose founder interest. You can alienate. You can cut people that are necessary. An industry friend once told me, use the term spreadsheet cowboys. Somebody who looks at the numbers and doesn't explain what does this person do? What is this line item? Why are we spending this much money for a TV personality? And you're like, you don't understand that person is the brand, right?
Right.
Spreadsheet cowboys. I love that one.
That's such a cool term.
It's fun. It's fun. I see my Hall of Famer told me that one. And I've used it ever since to explain a situation where, you don't have to understand it to understand why it's successful. You just have to, you have to let it happen sometimes.
Who are some of the, I guess, important people that have been successful for your guys' brands?
Well, I mean,
I'm sure there's a big number of them.
And what? Sorry.
So I guess, is there any kind of people that have been crucial to like your brand success, as in like, whether it's influencers or whatever? Yeah, I mean, we work with a lot of influencers. The thing about lighting is, you can make lighting for everything, right? And that's why I love lighting, because I'm not like stuck doing like. And I like pretty much everything, but off-road or passenger cars or like just gasoline or whatever. You can do everything, and so because of that, that's probably why I've been so well networked, is having to meet people in each market to understand who are the influencers in the Porsche world. Who are the heavy hitters, and there's been a lot of people along the way. So many we could name drop so many people that have been generous enough to produce some content that have really helped. My good friends with Alex Martinez, his channel is blowing up,
And he posted a video of our new Ferrari taillights for his F4, his 430. And, it made a huge impact for us on visibility and people seeing those and be like, oh, yeah, Morimoto's making, exotic stuff because they wanted to. It's cool.
So I'm curious, what's the case that goes into that, right? Because it's one thing to make lights for like Subarus, for example. It's another thing. I'm thinking this is business here.
I know. It's really funny because I laugh about this a lot. It's and to those that say, oh, enthusiasm is dead, Hoonigan, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, what rational business would say, I'm going to spend, 6 figures tooling up taillights for a classic 1995 to 2004 Ferrari made in very boutique numbers. Like, come on. But the business case is, there's an addressable market. The factory ones actually crack from the factory. The heat from the exhaust on certain 430 models causes the lenses to crack. And so there's an issue. And the factory ones are $2,000.
Okay.
And you can't get them. It takes months to get.
So when they crack, you guys are the solution, basically.
Yeah. So it's an OE replacement upgrade, and they're 488 styled. So it does like OEM plusify the vehicle, right? And as the cars are getting a little older, they're getting in the next owner's hands, and people want to kind of spruce it up to make it more modern without looking like really tacky. So that's why I love those products.
So, any idea what those would cost in that instance? Like, what for the end consumer?
Yeah, they're available. I mean, we did the 993 and 964 Porsche headlights, and I think they're going to be $1,300 a set.
Wow. Okay.
Which, I mean, that's pretty damn good deal.
Yeah.
I mean, go look at some 993 turbo headlights and tell me what that costs. I mean, some of that OE stuff can be outrageous.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Like Gen 2 Vipers. That's a big one.
Funny enough, there's been a strong push in the Viper community to make an OE style by LED headlight that's classically styled, but like that one's a little tough. Like maybe if 1,000 people or 300 to 500 Viper owners all said, "Here's the money, plop it down, develop it, tool it, we'll take all of them." Like maybe. But yeah, that one's probably going to be hard to justify.
It's been a conversation in the Viper forum. I saw people try to get started a number of times. Like, one guy's like, "Oh, can I get a commitment from at least 10 people here?"
I've been in many of those on those Facebook groups. I've been heavily involved, and I've been real with people. It costs 6 figures to tool an assembly. It is not cheap, and you have to do a lot of testing. You have to do DOT compliance testing on headlights, and it's not cheap. And like those are the things where like people are like, "Why? I don't understand why." And it's like, well, we've been doing this a long time, and it's very complicated. And if we are doing a Viper headlight, that means we're not doing something else that is a mass market that we know we can sell.
A finite number of resources can go into every project. Yeah, it was super interesting because like I think some of them were saying like the headlights to replace are like 8,000 or 9,000 or something ridiculous.
You can't get them. They don't exist. There's no windshields left for Gen 2 Vipers. If you crack a windshield, like people have bought entire Vipers that are wrecked for the windshield. Seriously. Yep. You're in the group, you get it.
Yeah, and some so when I went out to Great Lakes Dragaway, I believe it was, so my buddy, he got a phone call for somebody else. He's like, "Hey, can you swing by this one place and give me a couple windshields or whatever?" So they're about to buy 4 windshields for him and his buddy just to have on. Yeah, because like I have friends that will just buy up parts, not for the sake of gouging or anything like that, but just to help out a friend because they know that day is going to come. Like his windshield was chipped a year and a half ago, and it was like a year-long wait. Yeah,
I mean, and that happens too. A lot of these supercars, like I have a buddy in Atlanta that bought a 765 LT, Chris Cook, C3 Customs, or C3, yeah. And when it was delivered, it had a rock chip in the windshield. Yeah. He bought it new, and McLaren had to replace it. And I mean, it was like, 1, it was a huge number, the replacement cost, and 2, it had to come from the UK.
Yep.
In some of these situations, like I'm not sure if this is what happened, but they may ship the car back to the factory to put the windshield on and then send it back. So I don't think you'll have that problem with the Viper, but
well, it's such a high risk too because like windshields have a weird curvature to them and whatever. So Ken, what goes into deciding that mass market? Like, is there anything? What are the conversations that you have? I suppose.
So that's a great question because there's a lot of there's a lot of value from SEMA. SEMA provides a lot of reports. A lot of the OEs are here, and they participate in SEMA because they want people to make parts for their cars because that's what brings people in. Like they embrace it with the Mustang, right? Right. Like they know that people are going to modify Mustangs, and so they want to embrace it. They provide CAD data. Not to get in the tech transfer program with SEMA. We have the SEMA garages. They give us vehicles to scan. But there are industry reports that they do. And you can also look at production numbers. Matt likes to look at the number of people that like visit our website, which can be hit or miss because nobody's looking for Porsche because the product didn't exist yet. So your logic was flawed, Matt. But I mean, it works. It works most of the time, and sometimes it's just a gut check. Honestly, I think it's a little more science out now. But back in the day, it was like, oh yeah, 5th gen 4Runner. They built it for 10 years. Like, of course. And the factory headlights suck, of course.
Yeah, I feel like finding some of those like issues, you know, for me always, because like that's the thing. There's like this old meme that used to go around Facebook, like, you know, people are like, oh, what's your favorite car? Or no, this car is reliable. Like, you know, Toyota's the best, Honda's the best, or whatever. And then a mechanic answer, all cars suck.
Yeah, they do.
Because there's a problem on every single one.
Well, and I mean, look at Nissan 370Zs, right? They built that car for 10 years. You see those OE headlights, and they're all yellow and nasty and hazed. So, you know, that's a great market for us. And we have really good partners in that space. Z1 Motorsports, for example, that supports the product really, really well. And that continues to allow us to make stuff for the like 370Z and other Z models because we have a good partner that we know will support, you know, the efforts. So
I'm curious. So, like, because there's one thing to be said for, you know, let's see, what's the word I'm looking for here? The left hand talking to the right hand when it comes to a business, right? So here's what sales needs from the designers. Here's what the designers needs from the sales.
Yeah.
Is there any sort of issues, or is it a harmonious relationship? What's that sort of look like?
It can be tumultuous at times,
okay,
to say the least. You know, Matt, we're very passionate. You know, we're car guys. We love cars, right? We're very passionate, and like sometimes you really have to like pull someone's leg to get them to do a vehicle they don't want to do.
Okay.
We actually, I'm not throwing shade at you, Matt. I love you, buddy. But we really had to convince him to do Bronco.
Okay.
We were like, Matt, come on, man. It's Bronco. Like, it's an awesome vehicle. And you know what he did? He actually went and bought one.
Okay.
He's like, okay, these are cool. I get it. So then he made lights for it. He ended up selling the Bronco and getting a new Raptor. But, you know, sometimes the sales team says, you know what, you have to make this. And then you get asked for forecasting information. You have to have the right customer mix. You know, like if we have like Z1, for example, we'll make Nissan stuff because Z1 is a great partner, you know, and the Porsche stuff was a little harder because we didn't, at the time, like I knew who these people, you know, these awesome companies were, but like I wasn't a huge Porsche guy. I am now.
Okay.
They're badass. I kind of want a 993. Wish I had the dough for it, but you know, that's how you get there. But yeah, we've had some fun fights.
Some fun fights.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool. I really, if I were to ever get back into like a day-to-day job, which, you know, we'll find out in the next few months if that happens or whatever, I would love to be at an automotive company. I mean, it's just super, there's just something to be said about working within your passion.
Yeah.
Like there's some people that say, go do your 9 to 5, you know, just make the whatever,
Yep.
keep your passion separate from the day-to-day. Do you find yourself working in the industry you do? Do you find yourself not wanting to work on your passions when you get home or not really?
I am immersed with it. I wake up in the morning, I watch I'll watch Tavares or I'll watch Hoovie's Garage or Doug DeMiro or any of the YouTubers. I go to work and I immediately start answering emails about automotive related things and, you know, doing some research on what I visit our partners' websites and look for strengths. And then I go home and watch YouTube videos and I'll work on the Tacoma on the weekends and try to fix some stuff. And I completely love it. It hasn't changed. The one thing that has changed is the people. Once you meet people in the industry, you realize that the people are really the superpower of our industry. And that really is the fun part. Coming here is the reason I've lost my voice, because I have so many friends that I love to catch up with at SEMA. And that really is what makes this special, you know. And people are talking about cars and it's exciting. You know, like my whole family's in the food industry. You know, and like my dad always told me this story back in the day that he had a very, very successful boss, like manager or whatever, you know, I can't remember. This is probably in the 80s. And he brought him to his house, and his house was massive. And he's like, you see this, Tony? I got all this selling meat pies.
Yeah.
Seriously. Meat pies. So for us to be able to make awesome car parts and like see it on the road and be proud of it, you know, it does help. It does help you get through those long weeks.
There's something to be said when you see your work seen out there. Like, for example, like I have one of the cars downstairs, a Firebird or whatever. One of the guys from Minnesota, Nick Nelson, he has a pretty sweet Firebird ever built by North Speed, and they have my photo on the front of it or whatever. Like what is it?
A little show board.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, super cool. Like there's just something to be said. Like even though nobody's gonna follow, you know, my page for that, it's just knowing my work is out there. That's super cool.
It's an intrinsic satisfaction, you know, that's why I volunteer, right? Like it's not for the clout, right? Like, it's within our industry being able to do something that helps others, like for no benefit to my own. I mean, I've benefited from it. Like, don't get me wrong. I've met a lot of great people because of it. I've been put in situations I wouldn't have been in without volunteering, but to have those opportunities, is awesome.
I'm curious, what was your poster car as a younger kid? Or
Ooh, that's a good one. So my brother had the BF Goodrich posters. You know which ones I'm talking about, right? From the 90s. He had a silver E36 M3 with BBS LMs on it. And that car, or maybe LMRs, which is what I have now. Now that I think about that, that makes sense. I was indoctrinated at a young age. But yeah, I think I had probably a Diablo poster at some point. Everybody did. But I think that was probably it. Maybe a F50.
Oh, okay.
Probably.
Gotcha. And so how old are you again?
32.
32. Okay, so you got 8 years on me.
I feel like I'm 80 today.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, being out, so is your voice gone because you're right outside the burn yard and it's loud as hell?
For the record, it is loud, and it is not because of partying friends. It is because I talk to a lot of people, and I try not to say no to anyone. I'll say hi to everybody. I'll talk to everybody. I'll talk to anybody.
Yeah.
And, that's how you lose your voice.
I was surprised with how open everybody was down here, right? Because that's the thing. It's like, because like I'm on the smaller side of influencers, I'm definitely on the bigger side of Minnesota for sure. But when I get out here, I'm like, oh man, I'm a little bit of a nobody out here. But everybody was like super friendly.
I always love when I say that myself because I kind of do some car stuff and post some things on the side and whatnot. But we're all influencers, If somebody sees something you've posted and it influences them to do something, then you're an influencer. I know people don't like the term, but like the truth is maybe somebody was gonna like scrap a car, they were gonna crush it, and they decided, I'm gonna rebuild this because I saw one that somebody posted that was badass.
Yeah.
So
that was one of the things that I think my dad brought up to me a couple months ago. He's like, oh, so you want to be an influencer? I'm like, first of all, that's like a term that's come around the last 2-3 years. I hate it. So does I know Larry Chin hates that term too. It's I mean, you've influenced a lot of people with your pictures, man. Sorry, you're kind of an influencer. I just love being a creator. So in the last few months, I really had to come to terms with what is it that I want to do in life, right? And
what is it that you want to do in life?
Exactly. Like for me, it's like I want to create.
Yeah.
Like regardless, like I just like creating original stuff, new stuff, having conversations like this. So this you're gonna be episode 49 now, right? I've been just full sending it every single week, new episodes since January.
You're out there doing it, man. That's what counts. Like you got to start somewhere, and nobody started with a bajillion followers. Mr. Beast didn't start with. I mean, have you seen his early content?
Yeah. Did you see his interview with Lex Friedman by chance?
I've seen a lot of them. Probably pop up on Reels, I'm sure.
It was an insanely, like he basically just gave the keys to the kingdom, that's the other thing. He's super notable for that.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, he's like my age, which is...
Yeah, how old are you again?
24.
Okay, man, I remember 24. Had a lot more energy back then.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to 32, except from what it sounds like. Everybody says after 25, there's a drop off. I'm
30, like you wake up on 30 and you feel 30. You're like, So what was the quote with Mr. Beast?
So the big one for me that affected me, it's like he has a bell in his head, right? Like, okay, I have the audience's attention right now. So that's one thing that I've tried to cultivate with my content, right? It's like, yes, I'm trying to put out good quality stuff, but the other thing is am I able to keep the person paying attention?
Right.
That's kind of my justification, and that's something that I see. Like for example, my TikTok analytics is I'll look into it and I'll be like, all right, so I lose attention on average after 30 seconds, and I'm just like, well, why?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like for me, I'm a big cause and effect guy.
Yes, myself included. Yes, in the same way.
Yep, that's the thing that I've worked sales for the last 2-3 years or whatever, officially as official jobs, and then I always tell people I've been selling since I was a kid.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So what is your background in sales and so forth? I'm sorry, I'm rude for not even asking.
No, it's totally fine. So I graduated college. What is it?
Where'd you go?
3 years ago. I went to University of St. Thomas over in Minnesota.
Nice.
So then after that, I ended up working for the freight broker for about 1.5 years.
Got a cousin that does that.
Yep,
Nice.
and it was a good gig, but then I saw the writing on the wall. So from December to January, my commission was a quarter of what it was, and I was just like, and by the way, I was totally right because apparently the whole industry is just yikes.
Yeah, my cousin's in that industry. He does pretty well, but it's not a passion-based business.
Yeah, yep. But it was super cool, and especially like when you're helping someone out in a jam. It was really fun,
Yeah.
like, you know, taking care of people. Then I ended up at an accounting firm for a few months. That didn't work out, unfortunately. So yeah, maybe that's what it was.
Boring,
And then so now I just kind of been full sending it on this for the last, I want to say 5 or 6 months.
Nice.
So that's kind of where my passions lie. But I always tell people I've been selling since I was a kid because you know I have immigrant parents. So
Nice,
it's like,
man. From where from?
so my parents are Bosnian. So
Wow.
they were refugees back in the 90s.
Whoa.
So that's kind of where my respect and I guess, I don't know.
The hustle, the drive,
hustle.
the drive, man. That's where the drive comes from.
It snapped in me when I was like, I want to say 16 or 17, because my mom would always say, like, look at everything we've been through, what we've done for you. And, you know, like, you know, as a kid,
I know.
You are just, you don't appreciate it.
Yeah, I know.
And then at some point, so I went from being, like, I think I had a 1.8 GPA at some point in junior year. And then I flipped the switch senior year. I think I was in the high threes or whatever.
Yeah, you're like, I'm actually smart. I can try and be smart. Yeah.
So like I think I've talked about it like once or twice on this podcast before, but like so my first like official business was actually a Minecraft server, right?
Nice.
So as a 14, 15-year-old, I made like $5,000 off of it, which is
nice.
like I remember this was like just before Christmas or just after Christmas. I made $667 in a day.
Dude, that's awesome.
And I was just like, hey,
15?
Yeah, exactly.
You're balling, man. You're probably like looking at supercars at that point.
I was like, I just made more than a teacher. You can't tell me what to do.
Oh yeah.
But no, I think the only thing I ever spent that money on was like, it was dumb. It was like one of those like dumb resellers. It was like a Assassin's Creed hoodie.
Nice, dude.
It was a side
probably
zip.
came in so not what it
was so
pictured.
janky.
Wish.com style.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I gave it to one of my friends at the time. I was like, all right, cool. But that, yeah, so it's like,
That's what you do when you're 15, man. That's actually, you know, my story has a lot of parallels. My brother, when my dad signed us up, we always were working on stuff. My brother and I always were one to like sell stuff and like do garage sales and go to like, you know, back when you're gonna laugh, but like back when Pokemon cards were a thing.
Yeah.
We would go to tournaments to trade for other cards and then we would sell them on eBay.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't because of Pokemon, right? Like, you know, what did we play the games? We're from the 90s, whatever. But like we always would be hustling, you know, like working multiple jobs, even at a young age. Like my brother was selling stuff that he would buy on garage sales, Nerf guns.
Okay.
Right? Car parts and Nerf guns and selling them on eBay. And it helped pay for his college.
Is your brother older or younger than you?
He's older. He's actually here. He's
really?
here.
Okay.
He's 35.
Okay.
And he's always loved cars. I actually kind of credit him for getting me into it because his first car was an Acura 3.0 CL.
Okay.
A VTEC, right? And he bought an intake for it. Probably off eBay, honestly. Shout out to eBay Motors, good people over there, and put it on. And like I remember when that VTEC kicked in the first time with an intake, and I was like, "Whoa, cars are! Wow, I want to do this. This is awesome." So we have the same hustle mentality, man. That's cool.
It was so awesome. Like, so I finally had my first modified car, right? So I've always had leases because my dad's in the dealership industry. He's a minority owner at a dealership.
Nice.
Again, Mopar.
Nice.
So I always knew when the deals were coming for the most part. Like I didn't get anything special or discounts. It's just that I just knew what was in the pipeline. So
Purple splitter guards.
Yeah. Damn it, Dodge people. What's it called? So I ended up getting my current car from. He's also a YouTuber, Hardway Learning.
Nice.
Okay, let's go back. So there was actually an Audi at my dad's dealership that just came in. It was an APR tuned Audi. It was like 450 wheel. I'm like, oh, that's cool. It's perfect for winters or whatever. So I started looking into the car.
Super reliable.
Yeah, well, I think that was the year that didn't have the timing chain issue.
Right.
Yeah, I think it was like the 1 year that's like, okay, that's decent.
The subtle guide, the guides are probably solid. Or
Yeah. So then I actually hit up the owner of my current car to be like, hey, you know this platform really well. Tell me a little bit about it. Is this a ticking time bomb? He's like, oh, it's pretty solid or whatever. So
pretty solid.
Yeah. So it was
pretty solid.
Something along those lines.
Yeah.
And then what's it called? I started looking into it, and then I found out that the previous owner was a murderer. And I'm like, I don't know if I want that bad juju.
And you have this car now.
No, that's not the car.
Oh,
that was the Audi I was looking at. So then I was like, okay, that's probably not going to work out. So I hit up the previous owner of my car, which is, Stage 2 Golf GTI.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm just curious, would you ever sell your car? And he's like, no, not really. He comes back to me 2-3 weeks later. He's like, so what would you buy it for?
I love that. Yeah, I love that. I always hope that someday I'd find a clean, S14 or an E36 M3 to, I would have one of those situations like an elderly person with low miles that took good care of it that I could get one, and that's the unicorns that everyone's looking for.
Yep. Yeah. It was such, and I got it for a decent price. Obviously, the market's tanked since then. I got it like 2 years ago, but it's the most fun I've had. I mean, it's almost double the stock horsepower, which is
it's a lot.
It's such a great platform. Like 380 wheel, but it only weighs 3,000 pounds.
That's all you need, honestly.
I wish I did more track days this year, like autocross. Have you ever done autocross?
I've done autocross actually. I did it at the Shelby. It was the Shelby Fest Shelby Fest Mustang Rally in Jefferson City, Missouri. Kyle Caraway, shout out, great guy, puts that event on. I had the Diodynamics EcoBoost Mustang that we built for the SEMA show, and I actually was autocrossing that.
Okay.
And man, it's fun.
It's such a different type because like it's different in road course. The only road course I've ever done is like out here in Vegas for when you rent a Huracan or whatever. Yeah. I did that for my 18th birthday. That was freaking gnarly.
It's pretty damn cool. Yeah.
I wish I should go back out there and really drive it because back then I didn't know. Like it was so funny. The instructor's like, "So what do you drive back home? An SUV?" I'm like, "That's not a good sign." Yeah. I must have been driving like a total grandma.
I did one of those. My wife got me one for as a Christmas gift. Shout out to my wife Kelly. And I had one instructor that was like, I don't trust this guy, so I'm scared, And then I had another instructor who's like, oh, I go to the PRI show. I've raced Le Mans. Like, I'm like, oh, I'll see you at the PRI show in December, And he's like, oh, you're in the industry. He's like, all right, have fun, And that was in the 488, and the Huracan was like boring because I didn't get to like actually like push it.
That's how I felt too. Like I think I only hit like 120 or something.
I didn't even look down, but I get it though. You're an instructor, you're scared. I mean, you got some random 18-year-old who's probably super into cars that is questionable skill, myself included, and I mean I get it.
At any point you can overcook it.
They don't let you shift either, which is like I get it, but
he wanted me to use the paddle shifters, but I think as a result, like I wasn't revving it out. Yeah. Same thing when I drove an Aventador. Shortly after that, I actually saw my buddies actually traded me. Yeah, I honestly, so the thing I tell people, it's not like it's luck or anything.
Right.
The thing is like I've just done so many things and talked to so many people and been just so open.
In 5 to 6 months.
What's that?
And this is all over the span of how long since you started doing this?
Oh, this has been 5 years of doing this or whatever.
Okay.
So this is when I was 18 when I drove that Huracan, and shortly after I drove the Aventador or whatever. But that was like, so how that happened is I just gave him some photos. Like he wanted to get some pictures with his Ducati doing wheelies or whatever. He's like, he's just like, I'll let you drive the Aventador or whatever. So for like 40 minutes, just bombing through the twisties.
That's a baller move.
So that's ever since then I kind of realized like, man, it's just it's I've knocked on so many doors that you never know which one's gonna open. Mm-hmm. Like I told Jason, who's staying with me at the Excalibur, I told him last night. I'm like, dude, because I was so hot.
They're crushing that. They're gonna demolish that building after the show, right?
Excalibur?
Yeah.
Really? I did not know that.
Pretty sure that's what I heard.
Really? Okay, I'll have to look into that.
Take advantage of that opportunity.
Yeah, freaking
piece of history.
I heard they're getting rid of the Tropicana.
Yeah, that one's also going.
No, it's interesting. I'll have to look into why that all is.
Got to build a baseball field.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I'm bringing like 8 sports teams here or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, yesterday I was hopped up on, I can't remember. So this is one thing about me is I never buy my own drinks just because like I've been going to rallies or whatever. Like I'm just like, because I don't really care to drink. I can have a fun time without drinking.
Yeah.
But I always tell people, they always ask me like, what are you drinking? I'm like, whatever you buy me. And it's worked out great. So yesterday I had
That's risky, man. I'll tell you, you're 24. When you get to be my age, 32, somebody does that and flips a Long Island iced tea card on you, you're gonna regret it. Like you ever had a 2-day hangover?
Nope, I've only had one so far.
It starts when you're 30.
Okay,
we'll see.
I'll check back then.
That's great.
But yeah, yesterday I had like a watermelon Red Bull tequila, whatever it was, and
it sounds like something a 24-year-old would drink.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was given to me by 30-plus-year-olds, so
okay, exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. Y'all crazy over there. Yeah. So anyways, I was just riding that night. Yeah. So when I got back to the hotel, I was hopped up off of the Red Bull still. And I'm like, dude, like, because I was talking about, like, I have 4 awesome podcasts later or today or whatever. And I'm like, dude, honestly, I can go knock on every single door in this hotel. At least one person will say yes. At 2 a.m.
Bold strategy.
But my point being, it's like the more doors you knock on.
I probably would have.
Yeah.
Because like I love, if I had my voice at that time, yeah.
Oh, well, you seem like the kind of person that gets a kick out of it. Like you just enjoy it.
I like to be, I like to be present, and I like to share the kind of background on SEMA and like what SEMA does. A lot of people don't understand how much work goes into this and what SEMA does, what they actually exist for. They just think, oh, SEMA, that big car show in Las Vegas. Like, no, man, SEMA, that company or the association that is defending member businesses, right? That is protecting our hobby. And if you start framing it that way, and we get people sympathetic to the cause, they'll start to understand, like, we need to come out here and support this because it helps us and it's going to help us in the long run. And so I like to share the insights and the things I've learned over the years and through volunteering and stuff.
Is there any kind of, somebody warned me not to talk about certain topics, not necessarily with you, but particularly people in like the diesel space right now, just because it's weird. But
compliance is, I'll just right there. Compliance is important, and I'll say SEMA is a pro-compliance association. Like, they're not going to encourage anyone to break the law. You can't. They will educate you on what the law is, on the existing laws. And that said, there are times where some of the laws need to be challenged, and they will do that proactively with legislation and regulation. But the diesel industry is obviously like a very, the rolling coal back in the day. Like, it's a pretty obvious thing, Like, if EVs rolled coal, I'm sure that people would probably feel a lot different about them. Actually, that'd be pretty hilarious.
That'd be awesome to see.
If an EV rolled coal.
I think some people have diesel swap Teslas.
Oh, yeah.
I'd imagine it's out there. I'm sure it's even been at this show, know. But I'm not going to say which company it was, but it was a very large company that just had a lawsuit or whatever regarding selling diesel-related like things, basically like to evade regulations, stuff like that.
It's a big industry.
Yeah.
And for those that intentionally violate established compliance, it's a problem. It's going to be a problem. And honestly, SEMA's in a really weird spot for some of those conversations, because you have people that go through the process to do things the right way through the SEMA garages. We have the SEMA garages. Are you aware of that? They do testing in our facilities in California and Detroit to actually manufacturers will take their parts, put them on vehicles, and test them and go through the right process to get them certified and get exemptions. And then it's very expensive. It's time consuming, and that's the right way to do it, right?
Yeah.
But there are companies out there that don't, and they make a lot of money breaking the rules, and it's not fair to the people that do follow the rules. And so it's like, do you want SEMA, the association, to say we should be protecting these people, or we should be continuing to like focus on the people who are playing by the rules, and we should be expanding our ability to do the SEMA garage testing? So it puts SEMA in a really weird spot. But that said, there's been some pretty stupid common sense things that, like, over the years have popped up, and it's like, well, yeah, of course you're going to get in trouble for that. Like, I don't know if whistle tips has ever been a thing, but like, do you want to live next to somebody with whistle tips on their car? You know what whistle tips are?
I'm not sure if I do.
Oh my God. Whistle tips are I'm not making this up. You got to look this up on YouTube. This is probably before your time. This is before the like meme culture became a thing. But there was a guy welding in the exhaust tip, literally a tab with a circle through it that would make your exhaust whistle. Dude, you have to see the video to understand it. People listening are gonna laugh. I'm actually shocked you haven't seen it. It's pretty funny. But like stuff like that, like, yeah, that's pretty dumb. That shouldn't exist, right? Yeah. Like, that should not exist in any capacity. And so those people that do stuff like that, it's like, do you want SEMA to defend them? I'm not an official spokesperson for SEMA, by the way, for the record.
So speaking of what you do and do not do, I'm going to look that up, by the way, after this immediately.
You ever heard whistle tips go woo, woo? It's a funny interview. You'll see it.
I need to find this immediately after this.
Hit me back after you see it.
Yeah. So obviously I want to be aware of your time, because we are at SEMA. There's so much more to do and see and do here. So what's kind of next for you, I guess, within the industry? Or do you have any – what trajectory are you on right now?
So there's a lot of – right now I'm focusing on learning skills. I've been like producing content myself on my channels just to kind of get myself familiar with the process. I just literally learning how to use Adobe Premiere. Yep. And like those skills, capturing motion. I've done a lot. I've had some on-camera opportunities this year. So kind of what you're doing, honestly. But then really, my particular role is changing. I'm not 100% certain how it'll work with the integration going forward, but I'm basically trying to be a resource and use my skills to help businesses succeed. Whether it's marketing, whether it's merchandising talent, I have a pretty good ability to look at a website and say, here's why it is or isn't selling. Here's an adjustment you can make to improve it, and just make the most of my network. So it's right now we're doing really well, and we're going to continue to do well, and selling the best automotive lighting in the game. As far as what the future holds, not 100% certain, but I'm just learning skills and having a good time.
The thing I always like to say is, like, just keep doing cool shit. It'll work out.
Yeah. I've had opportunities. I've helped I've helped place friends in roles with companies.
Yeah.
I've done some on-camera stuff that's been fun. It's just getting out there and just doing stuff. And my performance at work is I'd like to think it's been strong. I mean, we've had a pretty solid year. So just continuing to do more and learn more.
I'm curious because I had this question like 20 minutes ago. It's so wild when time flies like this. Is there anywhere in particular that your position has taken you that's just been like, wow, amazing? Like any cool trips or anything like that?
Detroit, Michigan.
Really?
No.
Okay, I was about to say.
I'm just kidding. That's a joke. Detroit's great. The roads are not great, but the SEMA garage is there. That's a good question. I have been to I've been to Utah. I mean, I've literally been all over the place. Moab was great. I really enjoyed Moab. I've done a lot of FD events over the years. Mexico was with the Premier Land Cruise, one of our distributors, brings out all their top customers for that. I mean, I've been kind of all over the country, driven all over the country, so it's tough to pick one in particular. But Monterey Car Week is probably my favorite destination for car stuff.
Have you gone international much?
I've been to Canada a bit.
Okay, so not really.
Not really. But I visited the Ducati factory. That wasn't for business. That was for pleasure.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, not a lot of Europe. But we do have distribution centers in the UK, Belgium, and Australia, and Canada. So it's pretty cool.
All over.
Maybe someday I'll have that opportunity.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. And I'm sure I mean, you're still really young. What'd you say, 32, right?
32.
I mean, you got. The world's your oyster right now. You're kind of like in that prime. Like you're basically me, but with money, like or a little bit more.
A little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit. I mean, I don't drive my M4.
Right. Yeah.
Ever. I drive the Tacoma every day. It's kind of funny.
There's nothing to be said about a truck. I miss my Gladiator sometimes. I had that for a while. That thing was a beast.
I don't think I could live without one. Now that I have one, I don't think I could live without it at this point, and I never will because I'll never get rid of it. We'll never get rid of that truck.
It's a good looking rig.
Yeah. It needs love, but
of course.
We have plenty to give.
Yeah. I'm excited to watch that progress.
Looking for partners.
What do you mean?
Looking for build partners. I haven't really reached out to too many people, but we being part of Hoonigan and Wheel Pros is great because we have so many brands.
So much to choose from.
Yeah, I mean, I have KMC wheels on it. That was the first thing I did.
Yeah,
I had the little. You remember the little aluminum crappy wheels that come with those trucks? This tiny. Yeah. First thing I did, I put a pair of KMCs on it, 17s with some 30 whatevers, and it totally changed the look of the truck
completely.
Yeah, my brother-in-laws were like, maybe we should have kept it. We didn't know that it could be cool like that. And I had the headlights custom built by my friend Eric Gulas in Tennessee. And he actually etched my father's initials, my father-in-law's initials in the projector lens.
That's awesome.
And it's got the state of Maine outline on it because that's where he was from. So there's a lot of sentimental touches on it.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Do you guys, so you're able to do one-offs?
We have a retrofitter network. People who build, we supply the best parts for them. And then they do all the custom painting and everything.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Well, you knew it was coming from the beginning of this episode. So at the end of every episode, we like to ask this question. I keep saying we. I used to have a co-host, but he's moving to California, so it's me.
He's going to be paying a lot in taxes.
Yeah, he is. But at the end of every episode, I like to ask this question to get an understanding of who you are and what your car taste is. And the question goes like this. With an unlimited budget, unlimited imagination, what would be your show car, your daily, and your track car?
Show car, daily, track car. Track car, E36 M3.
Nice.
I did actually, you know what? E92 M3.
Oh, okay.
Because I just love that V8. My dad has one. I know they're faster cars, and you got to do the rod bearings and throttle actuators, but just driving it is so fun. It's not as fast as my M4. It's not as technologically whatever. Just driving it. It's an amazing experience. It's very analog. It's probably the last analog-ish BMW M car, M3 at the very least, and I just really, really like that car. So that'd be the track car. Do you say daily?
Yep, daily. That's a tough one for a lot of people.
Daily's interesting. You can go a lot of ways with this, but for me, it would probably, if I was balling, I would love to have a Ferrari 550 Maranello with a gated manual because I just absolutely adore that car. My friend Matt has one. He's fully restoring and rebuilding. I just adore that car. I think it's very simple looking. They're actually very reliable. It was the first V12, gated manual car, the front engine that Ferrari built in decades. And now people are realizing that they're special. The leather smells great, and all those things that make them special. And they're comfortable. They're kind of plush, you know. They're a little floaty, honestly. But that would be an awesome car to drive every day. The experience getting in, you'd feel like such a baller. Like, I really, really like those. And
some Miami Vice vibes.
Yeah, and they're not too outrageous. You know, I mean, they're up there. You know, we're going to need to have a couple good years here to make that happen. But yeah, that would definitely be amazing.
I should do that with this show. Like, where are they now? Like 10 years from now or something like that?
Yeah. That would be pretty cool. I mean, I hope that it won't take 10 years, but man, I'd really love to have one of those. And I mean, the thing is, there are newer cars, there are better cars, there are all these supercars and everything, and faster cars. And I'll tell you this, man, at 32, I've driven some fast cars, and I can tell you that I've driven some slow cars, and I've had more fun driving older analog, early 2000s, 90s cars than any of the latest, greatest like supercar stuff.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool, but like the analog experience. You know, it's the occasion of driving is more fun in those cars, because these new cars, like, you're going to 0 to 60 in like 3 seconds. Like, you literally can't enjoy that at all. But if you have like a 240 SX and you can use the whole power band like up in the mountains, like, it's way more fun.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying. Yeah. So you said the M3 was a track car, right?
I think we go M3 track car. Yeah.
Okay, and then we got the daily, and then what would be your show car? Because we are at the biggest car show in the world.
I'd be remiss if I didn't say I'd probably go with a Nissan 240 SX.
Really? Okay.
Probably. I would probably go with like maybe an S15.
Okay.
I love 240s. My dad actually, that was his first cool car he bought when he got his big job, I guess you'd say. My brother was brought home to the hospital when he was born in a 240. And I actually spent my first bonus at Diodynamics to buy a 240 back when you could still do that. Now they're like,
ridiculous.
I can still buy one, but it's like, I'm not going to spend 10 grand on a, 240, but, there's just something about them. I like those cars. There's a backstory aside, you can do anything to them. You put any engine in it. You can, there's a lot of aftermarket part support. I like the way they look. I have just always been a big fan of 240s, and like my coworkers at Diode will laugh at this, because I did this for so long. It was a joke at the office. Like, I had an S14, and at 240 every day, I would message everybody a picture of a 240, like, it's 240. That's literally, and this went on for years, man. And so I had a S14 Zenki that I put a Koki front end on, Kuki, whatever you want to call it, and repainted the whole car. Did all the body work. Shout out to Elite Customs in St. Louis. They're the best. Mike, you're the best. And it got completely destroyed by hail damage a month later on my way to a funeral.
Oh, that's a bummer.
And so I was like, this car's cursed, and I sold it. And I don't regret selling it, but I would like to have another one.
Okay.
And again, it's like, it's not the money. You don't have to buy the most expensive cars. Like, I could buy a nicer whatever. I go get the newest whatever, but I don't want that. I like the experience, the occasion, and the humble nature of older cars. That obviously doesn't describe the 550, but yeah.
Freaking awesome. I love the answer. And that's one of my favorite things is, like, even when I throw out the unlimited budget thing, a lot of people are, like, some people, like, we had one guy, like, or a number of people, be in the Koenigsegg territory and all that. But
they're amazing machines. Yeah. Works of art,
But like, for example, we had Ratified Motorsport on episode 34, and he's like, we asked for a daily. He's like, just a truck. I don't care what kind of truck.
Honestly, if I'm being real, probably my Tacoma.
If it can tow something,
probably my regular cab first year Tacoma. I drive it every single day. I make the conscious decision to walk past my M4, and I drive the Tacoma every day. It's kind of a joke. My brother makes fun of me. He's like, just drive it, man. Just drive it. And I'm like, I love that truck. I love putting miles on it. I know it's going to run forever. Toyota replaced the frame under warranty.
Oh, wow.
10 years after my father-in-law bought it.
Wow, okay.
Toyota they stand by their vehicles.
That's legit.
Yeah.
So last but not least, where can everybody find you?
I have a couple different channels. I have Caloroso, which is my last name. Maybe I'm biased, but I think it sounds kind of cool.
That's fair.
Caloroso on Facebook, Caloroso on YouTube. I also have Nick Caloroso on TikTok, and also on Facebook as well. And I've been trying to post cool car content. I go to a lot of events, and I'm trying to do more on camera. Like, I like doing it. I'm busy, like, I'm trying to, like, sell the world's best automotive lighting, and help our various distribution centers be successful with the lighting brand. So, yeah, it's pretty fun, man.
That's awesome. Well, I really, really appreciate your time, by the way, having you come on here. It's super cool to – there's no place on earth like this.
No, you have to experience it. You really can't describe it. There's a lot of superlatives used when it comes to SEMA, but you just have to see it and experience it. And I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that you're doing what you're doing, and I hope that you have an opportunity to meet with other SEMA volunteers and kind of spread the word that SEMA is not just a car show. It's here to protect the industry and to keep automotive enthusiasm alive for years to come.
Awesome. Well, Nick, thank you very much. And to everybody that's listening, thanks for tuning in. You already know where to find me. You're on the Minnoxide podcast. Yeah. Just make sure you're following the newsletter, Instagram, all the fun stuff. I say this every episode. They should know by now. But nonetheless, thank you for everybody that tuned in. Thank you so much for coming on, and we'll see you all next time.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man.